Good afternoon. My name is Tom Smith, and for the next 30 minutes, I'm going to be spending time with you, helping you through this difficult time that parents get to celebrate every year called financial aid. I'm going to, in the next 30 minutes, take a 90-minute seminar and break it down to the points that you need to know right now. In '91, when I got into this business, a lot of things have changed. But one thing has not changed is you, the parent, struggling each and every year with this thing called FAFSA, this thing called researching scholarships. You go onto the internet and there's thousands upon thousands of scholarships that is available. You hear all the time of all the billions of dollars that are out there. What you're really concerned about, what is available for you and your child to pay for school? Yes, mom and dad work very hard. And it doesn't matter if you're in a low income or an upper income. It doesn't matter your financial aid situation. Every parent struggles with their own individual issues. And for the next 30 minutes, I want to try to home in and help you through these issues. It's going to be fast. Please pay attention, but don't worry, this information will be made available at the end of this program. So I want to start off quickly with admissions, going into financial aid as well as recruiting. And in admissions, right now, most of you have already gone through that. There's probably people watching this that possibly even have had the opportunity to be accepted already. However, when you go to college, so if you have a child in college, a senior, a junior, a sophomore, a freshman, or junior high, you have to have this information, and I'll tell you why. Because without it, it's not a possibility, it will cost you thousands of dollars. And the reason why admissions is so important, because most people do not think outside the box. And for the next 30 minutes, I would like for you to have the opportunity to think outside the box. I want to give you ideas. I want to give you strategies. I want to give you in-depth look of how the process works that maybe will allow you the opportunity to go out of state and pay in-state tuition. In admissions, this is one of the things that you need to do. First off, go to collegeexpress.com. Put in all of your criteria. Where I want to go to school, my major, my grades, my SATs, my background, my profile. This will give you a list of schools to start with, and then start going down the list, whether it's private or whether it's public. One thing that I ask that you do not look at price. Leave price at the back end of this thing. Do not worry about that right now. Find the school that is best going to fit your needs academically as well as athletically, for those of you that are athletes. What I do is profile match academics and athletics. I put together a profile that is a very good fit. And if you don't understand profile matching, you could send your application out to 100 schools. And yes, they might offer the degree that you want. They might have the programs that you're interested in. But is it really, really, truly a good fit? One of the things that schools look at is very important nowadays is the holistic student. How are you going to make yourself marketable? You know, this is the big thing, especially in private colleges. For instance, Stanford has 20-some thousand kids a year that apply for average 1,200 acceptance. That's a very difficult statistic to be able to compete with. So one of the things that you want to do as a student is become very actively involved, whether you're a freshman, sophomore, or junior. Let me explain something real quickly for the seniors. You're done. God bless you. You're getting ready to graduate. It's over. The colleges only look at you up and through your junior year. And so for those of you that are freshmen, sophomore, juniors, I'm going to use the G word all the time, which is called grades. And I'll tell you why. If you don't have them, guess what? Here's your opportunity. Let me ask you this question, athlete, Mr. Allstate, Mrs. Allstate. If you have great opportunity to play college athletics and you have very poor grades, which two schools do you want to go to? For those of you that have the great grades, the 3 5s to 4 points, you have the 23, 24 ACT, the 1250 SAT, my question to you is, where do you want to go? Whether it's academics and or athletics. If you do not profile match, you're not going to make yourself marketable. If you have below average grades, you're not going to go to a private elite school. That's just a fact. So I want to talk about grades because I cannot express that enough. That will allow you the opportunity to pick and choose where you want to go. So colleges are looking for kids that are actively involved in their high schools. I have seen profiles and I have seen resumes from high school kids that make me blush, that I hope when I grow up I can be as awesome as them. And that usually has great influence from their parents, and that's a great thing. Those are the kids that colleges are wanting to have. And the reason why is because they go on a rating system. They used to go by the point system, and then a few years ago one of the colleges got busted because it was very prejudiced against a certain group of people. Now they go on the holistic. They're bringing essays into it because they want to look at the whole person. Grades are one thing, but you know what? A lot of times grades doesn't say anything about the student or doesn't say anything about the student athlete. Essays will give them an opportunity to look inside of you. So this holistic thing is be marketable, make yourself marketable. But when you get involved with high school, the cool thing about it is it becomes your high school. So underclassmen, get involved and start looking for things that you like. Don't just pick them randomly. Go paint the women's shelter, or go do a food drive or a clothes drive, or get involved with your youth group. These are the things that's going to make you a lot more marketable for colleges. It's also about PSATs, ACTs. It's about your grades. These things is basically what colleges are looking for, because this is what happens with a lot of kids that become seniors. They will look at trying to get in on an early action program, which is basically saying, I'm going to try to get in early and beat the crowd, and it increases your chances 2 to 3 times. That's true. However, what happens on an early decision, if you do get accepted, you're paying full sticker. They will not negotiate with you. What it is what it is. If it's $35,000 a year, guess what? It's $35,000 a year. you might be able to get in, but don't expect any negotiation as far as the financial aid goes. It's a tough thing to do, but if you want that school bad enough and you can actually get in, then go for it. Parents, really build your freshman year. For the kids going to college in their freshman year, build all the finances around there. Because once you get there, you can adjust as they're in college. So even though you have a kid in college and you're watching this, every semester, every term, whatever the college prefers, you have to go through this financial aid process. And by understanding how to adjust what you already have, it will increase your chances of getting more aid. So what happens is, a lot of times in 1998, for instance, there were 98,000. Going back to the early admissions, there was 98,000 kids that actually got on to a wait list. And this is something a lot of kids need to know. I understand most of you watching this are going to go to state university, state college. 80% of the kids want to do that. But there are a lot of you out there that if you thought there's an opportunity to go to another state where a relative may live, or you've always wanted to go to this particular state or particular school, but we've always been brainwashed over the fact that you can't go there because out-of-state tuition will kill you. I'll show you how that can work to your benefit here very shortly. But what happens is 98,000 kids get on a wait list and 12,300 of them get in. Last year there's 134,000 with 15,000. The wait list might not be your best option. However, juniors, this is the second semester of your junior year. It's time to move. Guidance counselors can't really help you at this particular point in time because they're still busy with getting the seniors situated. Seniors, there's a lot of you out there that's already set. There's a lot of you that's watching this right now that you still do not know where you're going to go and what you're going to do. And unfortunately, what's going to happen is a lot of kids out here, especially athletes, I'm just going to wait and see what happens. While you're waiting, let me explain to you what's happening. Applications are being accepted. Kids are being admitted. The spots in the schools for academics as well as athletics will be filled. You're going to find out here in just a minute, for those of you that are athletes, at the end of February, beginning of March, most college coaches are going to be looking for juniors. The reason why is because the roster spots are gone, the money's gone, so you need to be aggressive. Juniors, sophomores, and freshmen, you need to really be focusing on grades because that's the big thing right here. Now, with your PSATs, your grades, your ACTs, a lot of the things that you need to know and understand is these things have to be started now, juniors. Seniors, there are a lot of you right now I know struggling because I'm working with a large number of them. You are what you are. You have done what you have done, and there's nothing you can do to change it. You can't get that 2.2, 2.3, 2.4, 2.5 GPA up to a 3.5 in 2 semesters. It just doesn't happen. You do need to knock down some big test scores. That's the big thing as far as admissions. If you have a lower grade point average, really focus hard on the ACT, SAT test, and also find out if there's 5 schools that you're looking at going to, find out what they want. Don't waste your time taking SATs if you want to go to these 3 schools that only need ACTs, because you need to focus on that. You can go to my website, www.sportscoutingnetwork.com, and you can find actually the free ACT, SAT test. I would strongly recommend starting to do that, and there's numbers amounts of resources out there that you can purchase that will help you through these tests. The PSAT is a great little test that you get to take, which is a practice test for $10.50, and pretty much what we're going to be looking at is an SAT 1 as well for $28.50. That test is the big gorilla in the room, so to speak. It's 1.3 million kids a year that's given this test. The SAT 2 is very important for those of you that want to get into the elite colleges in the country. It's basically dealing with languages. It's an hour-long test per test. It's an hour long, and they're just really wanting to see how much above are you as far as average student may go. So as far as your SAT and your ACT goes, it's very important to know and understand that you need to start practicing these things the second semester of your junior year. You can go online. There's a lot of different programs that you can purchase that will help you go through the tests themselves, ranging anywhere from $29.95 to $300, depending upon how badly you need to be able to study for these things. There's also places that you can go, believe it or not, that you can buy papers for $17.50 that will help you with the essay if you're not that good at writing. So these are some things that you need to know and understand, that right now, your second semester of your junior year, you need to be able to start moving on that right now. The SATs right now, your max is 1,600. It's going to be moved to 2,400. And the reason why is because they're bringing in essays, because again, it goes back to the holistic thing. They're looking for the whole student. The essays, basically 2 million kids a year is going to have the opportunity to take essays starting in 2006 grads. This has become a portion of the test. So if you're not strong at writing, you need to find some help to be able to do that, because it's going to be very significant. That could be the difference of you getting in. A 4 point's a 4 point. A 24 ACT is a 24 ACT, a 1,200 SAT is a 1,200. But that essay could mean the difference of you getting into college. So I would strongly recommend starting to do that right now. Because what's going to happen here in the next few years when these changes come in, basically 77 years there's been some changes, but nothing nearly as drastic as this. When you take, right now, seniors, you already know this, when you take your ACT, SAT, they'll give you 5, 6, 7 schools you can send your things to. The essays will be the exact same thing. It'll be dumped into a pool through the internet. The admissions departments, when they're contacted that you're interested in going to their school, guess what? They're going to be able to log in with their username and password, get in and read the essays. They'll probably be downloaded, however they're going to work it. The main objective is that you do very, very well on the essays because it's going to have a lot of pull come 2006. Get that? And remember, grades. Did I mention grades? That G word? Make sure that you have grades. I'm going to keep reiterating that because I've seen students that have the great grades have an opportunity to go on. We're going to move into financial aid real quickly here. And one of the things that I want to talk to you about financial aid is how basically do they look at it. Right now, a lot of students are struggling with this, a lot of parents, and a lot of you are tuning in for this particular reason. Because it has a lot of nuts and bolts, I cannot get into detail right now with you. However, I do want to cover some things that I know everyone's struggling with right now. Again, there's a lot of nuts and bolts that I'll get into in more detail with the DVD, but right now there's some things that you need to know. For instance, there's a lot of people out there right now, I think there's probably around 25% of the American people live within a divorced family. I think it might even be closer to 50%. What happens is when a parent splits up, the day that your financial aid form is filled out, the separation is binding, the divorce is binding. That's the situation. Here's where we're going to start looking at strategizing and making yourself some money. So please pay close attention. If there's somebody in the bathroom that needs to know this, you better get them real fast because here's where the price of admission is going to pay off. For those of you that are interested and that have children that are a part of a divorced family, FAFSA looks at the child who has lived with the parent for 6 months and 1 day as the person that's responsible for that child's filling out the financial aid form. So here's the thing that you have to understand is, in this divorced or separated family, whoever makes the least amount of money will be the one filling out the form. Did you get what I understand? That happens to be, the child who's lived with the parent for 6 months and 1 day. That's all they have to know. That child's lived with me, I make the least amount of money. Now what happens is, where they make a huge mistake is, when there's usually a separation, that there's a grandma, grandpa, or aunt or uncle, or there's someone out there that wants to kick in. Everybody wants to help the child go to college in a lot of cases. And what happens is, they'll start, when you're financial aid, how much money do you have available to pay for school? Well, Uncle Billy and Aunt Susie has this, and Grandma and Grandpa have this. And then you just start tallying it all up. Wrong. These people do not exist during this financial aid process. Do you understand why? Think poor, P-O-O-R. You understand? Poor. The child's poor. I know a lot of you are watching this going, we're not poor, that's the problem. And I know there's others looking at each other going, yeah, we pretty much are. It doesn't matter which section that you rate, the child has to be poor. Take everything out of their name. If there's anything, and listen, I've done this hundreds of times, and one of the first questions I ask parents, how are you going to pay for college? And they just look stunned because it's like they've done everything they could possibly do to get the child in and out of high school with others coming, or they might be the last one. And they understand. They work 2 jobs. They do everything they can do just to pay bills. Very, very, very few people have money setting aside in an account. But if you do, you need to get it out of that child's account. Now, I know a lot of you that are watching this right now that have seniors, December 31st, it has to be out of that child's name. And the reason why is, if it's in that child's name, 35% is going to be taken off the top of your financial aid that's going to be made available to you through your estimated family contribution, your EFC. So what you need to do is get that out, put it into a fund that a parent might have where they only look at 5.6%. So you need to look at this as a opportunity to maximize your financial aid income. Now, when that child goes to college, you can now bring in Grandma and Grandpa and Uncle Billy and Aunt Susie, because what will happen is then they can contact the school themselves and say, for instance, $5,000 you owe every term or semester. They can contact and say, I'm calling on behalf of Tom Smith. I understand that he has $5,000. I just want to send you a check for $2,500. Can you apply that to that? Certainly. That's how you get up and above and you can increase your financial aid, is just due to that fact. You have to constantly readjust. You can't do anything about what you have. Your investments are investments, your homes are your homes, your mortgages, so on and so forth. But if you readjust, that's the big thing, which will maximize your financial aid. Now, I want parents to understand that I'm talking to. I hear this all the time from parents that have money. I'm not going to fill out the FAFSA. We're not going to qualify for anything. Let me give you a little bit of insight. There are need-based and there are merit scholarships. Now, with the merit scholarships, you cannot apply for some of these unless you've actually been turned down for the FAFSA. And they're going to want to know, have you been turned down for all other available aid? Yes, I have. Well, then now you can qualify to fill out the forms for the merit scholarships. So fill out the forms. It's just the beginning of everything. Make sure you do that. Also, the pool of graduates has shrunk in the last 15 years, 2.6 million. What's happening is there's now becoming a bidding war, and especially for those of you that make, oh, did I mention grades? Oh yeah, the good grades kids. For those of you that have done that, guess what? You're going to have the opportunity to compete for these schools because they want you. Here's one of the things that you have to understand. Where I actually work at in Montana, there are schools within a region that have scholarships set up because most schools will recruit students in a region. They have the budget. This is, they know that it's a good fit for kids. They'll drive 500, 1,000 miles away from home. And so what happens is they'll have scholarships made available for these kids to come from out of state, in-state. And the neat thing about that is, here's a real secret for you. I want to stop and just tell you this for a second. You want to go out of state? You know how you do that? You go and you apply to the DMV. And then in 6 months, when it's time to fill out your forms, guess what? You're an in-state tuition kid now. How about that? That's why you got to focus, parents, on the freshman year, because there's so many things you can adjust to make it affordable for your child to go there. You need to load up with everything you can and continue to read, continue to research, stay on top of it, because things adjust every semester, every year as far as finances. What happens is now that the smaller private colleges are also starting to discount some of their prices. When I tell parents, the school's interested in your child, it's $35,000 a year, I can't tell if it's the phone or them hitting the floor, but they do, because they think I have to write a check for $35,000. Here's a little insight. The private colleges are the ones that have the money. The Christian colleges are the ones that have the money. They do a massive amount of fundraising, and they know in order to get you, they're going to have to pay for it. Now, what I want to do is real quickly go into how are we going to make this financial aid work for you. First off, going back to the December 31st deadline, sell your investments earmarked for college prior to December 31st of their junior year. 35% is going to, again, be taken off the top for the student compared to 5.6% for the parent. The formula assumes parents can afford to spend up to 47% of after-tax income on school bills, only 5.6% on assets. Formula treats capital gains as income. Selling investments a year before applying for aid can reduce families' expected contribution to the cost of college. Personal loans and credit cards are not counted as financial aid. Pay off the debt with savings. Reduce assets increases aid. And here's a great one. If you have savings and investments, consider investing them into a no-load or a low-load tax-deferred annuity. Most colleges do not consider tax-deferred as being available to pay for college. Again, consult with your advisor for those of you that have advisors, and if not, I would strongly recommend seeking those out. So Mom and Dad, basically what I want to say is the U.S. Department of Education has given out, the guidance counselors do an excellent job getting you all the pertinent information, the local scholarships, the forms, the FAFSA. They're there with all the information that you need usually locally. They can provide that to you. So any U.S. Department of Education, you'll find the subsidized, unsubsidized, the Pels, the loans, the Staffords. So I'm not going to get into that right now due to time. However, I'll get into it a little more detail on the DVD. However, what I want to do is explain to you real quickly a little bit about the negotiation and/or the appeal. Don't negotiate with the college, but you can appeal it. And this is some of the things that you need to know. Again, this is for the above average student. If you're an average student, that's a senior, I'm sorry, there's nothing you can do about it. If you're an average senior, you're an underclassman, I'm telling you right now, listen, I'm not your mama, your daddy, your teacher, your preacher. I'm the guy that represents colleges that you want to go to. So if you think it's a laughing stock as far as being, I'm just having a great time. Listen, I had the best time in high school. I never let my fun get in the way of my education, or my education get in the way of my fun, due to the fact that I enjoyed high school. Unfortunately, when I graduated, my grades, I've suffered most of my life. And I want you to understand every decision that you make, there will be a consequence. So you need to go to class and pay attention, regardless of what you think of the teacher. That teacher's there for a reason. They care about you. They love what they do. Respect them and learn something. Back to the grade thing. So what happens is now that you're a senior, you're too late, underclassmen, really start focusing, because what's going to happen is there's going to be a time to negotiate. You're going to fill out your forms. And here's a lot of times what happens. Parents will fill out forms, application, a loan application. A scholarship application. They send it off. It might as well go to Jupiter because they have no idea where it's going or the process that takes place. Bottom line is, why should you be chosen over another child? What happens is, if you get into the right situation, again, profile matching, if you are the right student and put into the right situation, let me tell you what, private colleges hate to lose students to public education. If you are a private student type student and or student athlete, here's the thing. If you are going, say 5, let's just use 5 for an example. This is my dream school. It's a long shot. This would be a great opportunity. I love here. I know that I could probably get in. These 2 are for sure. What happens is you need to be able to negotiate when that time comes and or call back for an appeal. Because you see, here's another secret insight to maximizing your financial aid. If there has been a change in the family over the last semester, there's been a layoff, there's been a reduction, you've quit your job, whatever, and your income goes down, you need to notify the financial aid department immediately and let them know about it. That's basically appealing your financial aid package, giving them the new information, redoing all the process, and that way you will qualify for more aid. If there has been a job added to the family, if there has been an income, a bonus, or a salary increase, the next year when the time to do the FAFSA, you need to let them know at that time. But here's some things that you need to know. You can negotiate all the way through this thing. If there's 3 colleges and they're all the same profile match, all the schools are all public or they're all private, and you receive aid from 2 schools compared to this one, which is the one that you really want to go into, you can call them up and you can ask them questions like, was there anything that we missed? I can't understand why these 2 schools are offering me more money when they're basically the same profile as you guys. I just want to see if you can help me through this process. Do I need to come in and sit down and visit with you? Because it's really important, because your school is our first choice, but we just can't find enough available funds. Was there any merit scholarships? Was there any other scholarships that became available since the last time I started this process months ago? And you can negotiate with them. However, don't use the term negotiate. You're just appealing. And this will change your financial aid package and be able to add it on to there. Most people don't realize this. The vast majority of the schools, and I've talked personally with admissions reps from other colleges, they have told me on numerous occasions, we have changed their financial aid package because we really wanted them. That is especially true for those of you that are athletes, and I'm just about to get into those of you that are sitting there that have this dream of playing college athletics. I want to unlock to you the secrets of college recruiting here very shortly. As a matter of fact, we're going to start that right now.